Hey everybody, welcome to today's Daily Distinction. Really glad that you are here on a Friday. Thank you for taking time to jump on today. Gosh, got a lot of folks in early today. Really glad about that. And we have a special guest today. Yay! I'm not gonna wait. I'm just gonna bring him right on. A man who needs no introduction,
but always appreciates one.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case. Oh, my great pal, best pal, Larry Wingate with us today. Hey, man, it's great to have you here.
You know, it's just good to be anywhere these days.
You got your camo on, man. You're.
How can you even see me?
I just saw a head floating. Oh, man, that's great. Well, Larry and I have a very, very special announcement to make. Brian is many days. He is the first one here. And, look at this. Pitbull kicking ass and tell them like it is. So Brian's already ready to go. Absolutely. Ted, always great seeing you. Thank you for being here. Bonnie, hello in Chicagoland. Hope things are good with you. There's my pal Scott saying hello. Kid says, yeah, I could take 30 minutes for the intro there. So appreciate that. Charles, thanks for your good wishes too as well. Larry, I've mentioned here in the past couple of days about the big special announcement that we have. And it's about the program that we do every year, but how this year is special. So let me let you make the announcement. Go for it. Talk about what they can do starting right now.
Well, today's the day we launched the website for registration for the Ultimate Business Summit Virtual Edition. For the very first time, we are making it so affordable, so ridiculously, I'm even going to say cheap, that there's no excuse for everybody not to participate. And for the first time, we're doing it virtually, which means you don't have to social distance. You don't have to wear a mask. You don't have to buy a round trip ticket to Las Vegas. You don't have to spend 3 nights on hotel rooms. You can sit in the comfort of your own home, tune in to not only Scott, Randy, and me, but 4 special guests, and it's just a hell of a deal.
It's a great deal. And we're going to be talking about the subject of that. This whole thing is not just going to be a commercial. We're going to be talking about some of the subject matter of that in just a moment. But holy cow, we've got Lisa Ford, who any objective observer would say she is one of the very, very few that you could, guru is a term that is overused, but when it comes to customer service, Lisa Ford's a guru. I mean, she is as good as it gets when it comes to that.
When in our industry, Scott, you and I have talked about it a lot, when your name becomes synonymous with a topic. So when you think of the topic, a name, boom, that's the name.
Yeah.
Lisa's that person.
She's that person in customer service. Yeah, no doubt. When it comes to leadership, you think of Mark Sanborn. I mean, the Fred Factor, Mark's a buddy and we tease him, but the Fred Factor is one of the biggest selling business books in history of all time.
Yeah, it is.
It's
and
one of the
one like the best leadership blog in the world, like a zillion times or something like that.
Yeah. So
it's exciting to have these folks with us.
And then we have Joe Calloway, who's not known for much. And then we have
Please, Joe, I hope you're watching.
I hope he's watching. It was too easy. Look, Joe's book, talk about a book that sold a gazillion copies too. Keep It Simple. When we were traveling, my gosh, that thing, I don't think they could open an airport bookstore unless it was in there.
Yeah, it was a law. Yeah, Joe's been around a long time, and he's so diverse in his knowledge base and has worked with so many different kinds of businesses, coaching, consulting, but standing on stages around the world, keynoting. Truly, I always love to hear what Joe's going to say.
Absolutely. Joe's fantastic. Dave, you're right. Lisa is a great speaker. Joe and Mark are great speakers. So those three are phenomenal. Then we also have a VIP program that you can enroll in, and you get some special benefits that are defined on the website. But one of them, and I think it worth the upgrade in and of itself, is a special VIP luncheon that we're doing with Simon T. Bailey.
And Simon is sort of synonymous with Disney. I mean, that's where he came from, and he talks a lot about that. And Simon's been around a good long while. And you know what? I don't know a person that doesn't say about Simon Bailey, that's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a great guy, isn't he? Yeah.
And you'll have a lot of fun listening to him and listening to his stories, and you'll learn a lot, too, that you can use.
So here, thank you, Brian. We appreciate it.
Happy to do that.
we are happy to do that. So all you need to do is to go to ultimatebusinesssummit.com, and it'll have all the info about the program and everything else, and the speakers and what you get, not only from your enrollment in the summit, but also your enrollment in the VIP program, which will provide a transcript of everything that happens over the day and a half. Heck, that's a book plus right there. It's all of the video of the program. So, if you're taking notes and there's something you want to, or if you have to take a call and you can't be there, you can go back and watch that video. All of that is there, but also 3 additional Zoom calls with each of us for an hour. It's just an amazing deal both ways. To attend the Ultimate Business Summit for under $100 is crazy good.
Scott, what I like about this year is we have such a broad variety of ideas coming to you, because we have 7 speakers, and we all really have a lane. And that's what's always been sort of I think the most interesting thing about the Ultimate Business Summit when it was Randy and you and me is that we really do have very distinct views. And while we agree and have different paths to get there, agree and disagree and have different paths to get there, what's always fun is that we get to the same place. This year, we have the central theme of bringing all these different ideas and backgrounds and points of view around the idea of the attendee learning how to make more money in changing times, profitability in changing times.
And let's talk about that for just a little bit, Larry, because obviously we don't want this to just be a UBS commercial, because people tune in every day. Okay. I'm easy.
I know. Have a drink.
Okay. So let's talk about first of all, let's talk about these times. I mean, whoever. There are certain things that we have been critical of businesses for, because they didn't anticipate some easily anticipated challenges they were going to face, right? I mean, there are certain things we've seen businesses do that they just dropped the ball because they didn't plan as effectively and as smartly as what they should. But who could have planned for?
Every human did the same thing too, Scott. Everybody said times are good. It's never going to change.
Yeah.
What goes up must come down. The problem is we were in a very good time for business, employment, money. Everything was really good, and it just kind of all went to hell. Yeah. And it caught a lot of people short, and they're in trouble, and they got to figure it out fast.
You're exactly right, and I think that part of the weird part of all this is, there were a lot of us who might have sat around thinking, it can't stay this good forever. The bubble is gonna, but good grief, whoever could have predicted this?
Yeah. Who could have predicted that a year ago when we were standing on stage in Las Vegas, we would now be doing it online, and that the technology would have changed fast enough that it could happen and still offer a high quality program. And adaptability, and the 3 of us went, do we just call it off? Do we stop? We ask ourselves the very same question that every business has to ask every single day. Am I going to call it off? Am I just going to quit? What can I do to scramble and shift to stay in business and still serve people? Yeah. What we did is an example of what businesses have to do.
Absolutely right. Hey, let me get to it. Brian has asked, do you have video options for the past years? No, Brian, we don't. And the reason is because we just wanted to say, if you don't come and attend it, you don't get it. And in fact, we are continuing that, because basically what we're saying is we're not going to come back later and then sell these videos. Nope. It's only for the people that register at the VIP level that will have access to the video. They are not going to be published later on, anything like that. And hey, Mel Abraham, haven't seen you forever. It's great to see you, my friend. There's one of the good guys. And talk about a guy that's changed his business and knocking it out of the park. Mel, I saw you on the Kajabi program the other day, and that, man, you just you're killing it. It's great to have you here, and always good to see you. Cheryl is with us today. Pam wants to know how many folks moved Joe Calloway's book to the front of the rack at your favorite airport. Yeah, when I had a favorite airport, we did that, and
I did that a lot. I always put his right up front and then set mine right in front of it. But his was there as support.
Exactly. You kept it simple. So, Larry, in this time of change, it seems to me, and I realize this is kind of the softball setup, but I mean, good grief, education is more important than ever, right? I mean, when we find ourselves in a new circumstance, it's a time to learn something new, and to be reminded of what we already know that we need to be better at applying.
You know, Scott, this is a very personal topic for me, this education thing. 35 years ago, I went through, before I got in this business, when I was in the telecommunications business, and the bottom fell out of that business for me, and Rosemary and I lost everything we had. Really lost everything we had a garage sale every weekend. I was like the guy who lost everything he had a bicycle, didn't have handlebars, didn't have a seat, lost his ass, didn't know which way to turn. That was me. And we sat down. But we made a commitment to ourselves that we would still, while we didn't have any money, we would still spend the money we had on education, because we knew that the more, Jim Rohn said it best, if you knew better, you would do better. And so I took that line very, very seriously, and we committed as a family, Rosemary and I, to find out as much as we could, learn everything we could, spend money on, mostly then we had books and tapes. You remember, that's how I started, books and tapes, you too. And now the learning, if people commit themselves to learning and understood, if you just knew better, you would do better. That's really our commitment in all of this.
You know, I recently joined a mastermind on how to do better at conducting virtual meetings. And one of the things that blew me away was when I saw who else had spent the thousands of dollars to join this mastermind. It was people who were already successful. And I know that's a blinding flash, the obvious, but for example, in financial services, John Bowen is one of the nice guys in the world, but he's also a guy that is killing it. 7, probably 8 figures of business this guy's doing. And I look over and he's in the mastermind as well. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me, Larry, when you and I were first met, God knows how many years ago, I remember one of the things we always used to kind of do as a joke is we'd throw each other a Jim Rohn line, and the guy with the Rolls Royce got to figure out how to get me another one of these. That's all I could think of was that the fascination that sometimes, it's the most successful people that continue to learn. And we call this a clue. Yeah. Right? I mean, if that's what the most successful people are doing, then holy cow, all of us should be doing that. Hey, Kit, I'm so glad that you're going to be there. Kit's another one of the great guys.
Oh, isn't that the truth? Such a good guy.
That's really cool.
And I am just saying that.
It is the truth.
Kit will laugh about that.
So, Larry, entrepreneurs are facing an incredibly challenging time. Yeah. What do you think? Learning is obviously one of them. How does an entrepreneur sell more when the ground has shifted so much?
Well, they need to get back to understanding value, and value is based on the cost of the problem you solve. So many entrepreneurs find themselves in the position of justifying and defending their value. If you find yourself defending your value, you don't understand the client's problem. Yeah. And one of the things that I'm going to be talking about during the Ultimate Business Summit is helping you understand the tangible cost of the client's problem, and then understand that selling is making sure that what you have costs less than the problem they have. And I don't care whether you buy a candy bar. People buy candy bars to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And how much that problem hurts them, costs them, the pain it creates. Your value is going to be based on your ability to alleviate that pain and solve that problem for them. And so more than ever, understand your value.
It strikes me when you say that. I really, and by the way, Mel Abraham, thank you so much for that kind comment. Coming from somebody like you, that means a lot. It struck me when you were saying that, and I'd never thought about this before. Snickers sales are at an all-time high. And they attribute that to the commercials that are defining the problem and solving it with a Snickers bar, yep. Right? I mean, you're hungry and you're not yourself. And so you have a Snickers bar to kind of get rid of the hangries, as it says on some.
The sugar rush fixes everything.
They sure want you to believe that, don't they? But I mean, isn't that amazing that yeah. Even a product that has been around, I don't remember a single day of my life that Snickers didn't. I mean, I don't even know when Snickers started, but it had to be back in the 30s or 40s, yeah. Right? I mean, and what did they changed their commercials and changed their marketing. So it wasn't about, just eat this good candy bar. They changed it to solving a problem. So to your point, even a candy bar solves the problem when the problem is defined.
And Scott, when I talk about this to folks, I always think of Pepto-Bismol. We have this pink chalky crap in a jar. We would sure like for you to buy that. Not how it's done. It's headache, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. That's a problem. That can cause you some pain. Yeah. That's what's selling chalky crap nobody wants to drink.
It's a great point. And yeah, Charles, you're right. Everybody deserves a Snickers bar.
Charles just signed up.
Yes.
He was our very first one to sign up.
No kidding. Oh my gosh. Well,
so Charles, congratulations to you, Charles. We appreciate it.
Isn't it interesting that even during changing times, and Mel makes a great point, we have to stand in conviction of the value we provide. If we haven't sold ourselves on the value that we provide, to me, it becomes practically impossible to sell not only your prospects and customers, to sell anybody else on your team. I mean, Larry, you've heard me do the quote that the Retail Marketing Institute did the study, found out that 70% of frontline employees can't answer the question, why is it better to buy from the company you work for than the competition? If your own people haven't bought into the value that you provide, how in the world is that translated to a customer? We have to sell internally as well as externally.
Sadly, I think most entrepreneurs, and it's funny, I was just outlining what will turn out to be my next book called Don't Quit Your Day Job. And it's what
you haven't told me that. I love that.
Yeah, it's one of these that I'm going to record an audio and they're going to convert to print for me because, as you know, we're really good at just sitting around talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just working on it this morning, and it's what you got to know before you go in business so you can stay in business.
Yeah.
And the first thing you got to know is, where is your value? What is your value? You got to be able to communicate it to your clients. You got to communicate it to the people you hire and manage. But most people say, I have a solution. They've never stopped to consider whether the client actually has the problem to the solution they believe they have. And if they don't understand the customer's problem, they are never able to establish, I don't believe, pricing. and certainly never understand their value. They just know they have a solution. Solutions are not what you sell. You sell your understanding of the customer's problem. That's where the value is established.
I saw a video yesterday, and it was really striking. You know, the Small Business Administration, the SBA, is doing some grants, but they're also doing some loans. And FIDL, I think, is the acronym for the loans. And they're 30-year loans at 3.5%. You don't start making the payment for a year. Maybe some of the folks watching have qualified for those loans. And there was this fascinating thing by a lawyer yesterday saying his assumption was they're going to have to come in and just say it's a grant for two reasons. Number one is about 20% of businesses make it 30 years. So 80%, statistically speaking, of the small businesses that they've made those loans to aren't going to be around long enough to pay it off. And secondly, some of those business owners are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, obviously, that are going to be 70, 80, or 90 years old, and they're not going to still be making monthly payments on that note at 90 years old for a business they've probably retired from anyway. Yep. And so I'm watching that thing, and first of all, that's a very interesting perspective. I hadn't heard anybody mention that. But next is, if I'm a small business owner, that terrifies me. How do I make sure that I'm in the 20% of those who survive, the 20% that make it? In small business, I mean, we got to be honest. In small business, it's tough to sustain that business. What is the competitive advantage that will make a significant difference? Here's our friend Bruce. See, Bruce, you are one of the great exceptions to that. You're in your second 30 years of business, which is fabulous. Great distinction, Larry, from Mel. Yeah, absolutely. And so, hey, Tim, great to see you. And he's already loving it. Don't quit your day. That's when I got into speaking, that's some of the best advice I got. It hurt to hear it. It hurt to hear it, but it was some of the best advice I had.
Well, you know, Scotty, and I'm going to do a little bit of a commercial. But what we have always done differently is we're not about the hype. And I think, sadly, most entrepreneurs hear hype. They hear about the passion, and I will go on for a while about that during the Ultimate Business Summit. They hear about following your dream. They hear all of the hype about how wonderful it is to be in business and the freedom and all that. There's no freedom in owning your own business. And you're much better off letting that guy figure out how to make payroll than you are trying to figure it out on your own. And most businesses simply aren't equipped. They haven't gone through. In the Ultimate Business Summit, there's no BS. There's no hype.
Yeah.
We say, look, if you don't do this, you're going to screw up and lose your business.
Yeah.
And ours is very practical. This is the stuff that the seven of us have all been paid for a lot of years to travel around the world, paid a lot of money to travel around the world. And it's really an opportunity to sit and hear seven people just shoot you straight. No. And here's why you ought to pay attention. I have had more people say, I'll catch you next year. There ain't going to be no next year.
And that is one of the announcements that we want to make as well, is that, you know, hey, we're still going to all drink bourbon. We're all buddies. It is, as you can tell. I mean, it is not a situation that anything like that, but we all have our own course, and we have decided this is the last year for this. And by the way, somebody asked me, and I thought this was interesting. They said, so this is the last year for the Ultimate Business Summit. So is next year like the Superior Business Summit? No. This ain't no share farewell tour, right? This is it. This is it. So this is the last time the three of us will be working together on this type of program. There is never, ever, ever going to be another program like this. So it's now or never.
Yeah, this is the last chance. And I know a lot of people say last chance. This is the last chance. And you'll never see that lineup of speakers all on the same stage again. When you consider the Sanborn and Lisa Ford and Joe Calloway and Simon, along with the three of us, my. So it comes down to, would you pay $12 to hear one of us talk for 45 minutes? $12?
I never thought of it that way. $12
bucks a person, $12 a speaker.
A speaker. Holy cow. You can't even buy the book for that.
Nope.
Wow. I never thought of it that way. Tim, yeah, that's a great idea, but no, there is no next year for this group. This is it. So, well, Larry, at the end of the day, I don't know how much more we can say about it. It's such a. I get so excited about doing this. I really thank you, Charles. I appreciate that, and I know Larry does too. It's one of the things I think is kind of an interesting aside is, and Larry, you and I have talked about this before, but we both come from humble backgrounds, and I many of the folks here have heard me talk about my mom and dad in a little grocery store in Crothersville. Your dad was a hardworking guy at the store in Muskogee, and here you and I have a chance, and we've presented this material to the biggest corporations in the world.
Yep. And
they paid us a lot of money to do so, and I'm grateful for that. Yet I often think about, if my dad would have had access to this information, how much more profitable would that little store have been, and how much more and not only that, how much more enjoyment would he have had out of it, because there wouldn't have been that constant stress of being alone on this island trying to run this store thinking, am I doing the right thing all the time? It's also the input and the support and the community that happens as a part of this. And part of what we're able to do with the technology even now is to do these little breakout groups so that folks can join in and talk. Speaking of joining in and talking, hey there, Randy, as he puts his mic on. We're almost out of time here, but glad I threw this at these guys at the last minute. So
Randy was actually working.
Yay. Can you hear us, Randy? You are on, sir.
Great. How are you, sir?
Good. You're sounding great. Hey,
thanks.
We only have a couple minutes left, but why don't you tell us about what your feeling is about UBS and why you think somebody should attend?
I've been on client calls all morning long. People trying to figure out how to get better at their business. It's sort of like a preview of what we're going to do at the summit.
And so, Randy, I mean, if the folks that are watching, part of what they want to know is, why should they attend? What do you tell people when they ask that question? Why should I be attending the Ultimate Business Summit?
Well, there's actually right now is the best time to do something like the Ultimate Business Summit, because coming out of whatever this new next is, there's going to be more opportunity than there's ever been before, and there's going to be more competition than there's ever been before. And the only time that you have, if you don't make time to figure that out now, you're going to be too late. The marketplace will have already passed you by.
So true. So true. Randy, because Larry and I have had a chance to talk, and I know you've been on that client call, but with all of the change that's happening in the world today, what if you had to pick one or two areas to center your focus on as a small business professional, as an entrepreneur, what ball do you think they need to be keeping their eye on? Where do you think their focus needs to be today?
Well, first off, I'm sure you guys have already mentioned the customer, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's one place. I mean, I've been thinking about it this way for my own business. We talk about working in the business and on the business. I think that's a piece of it. I think as a business owner or as a leader in any sort of business, you've got to work on the team which means, do we have the capacity? Do we have the capability? Do we have the right people where they need to be? And then as a leader today, because of all the craziness in the world, you have to work on the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just add the business, in the business, on the team, on the relationships, internally and externally. That's where I would focus right now.
That's perfect. We're going to go a couple minutes over for those that can hang with us. And gosh, holy cow, a lot of folks are. Give me a story of somebody that you have heard of and somebody that we know, perhaps in the intensive group, an example of how participating, and I'm not just, I don't want this to be a total UBS sales pitch, but although that's what it's, but give me an example of how a business person has improved their business as a result of participating in a summit mastermind type program like what we're talking about here.
Me, Larry, who do you want?
Go ahead, man. If you got one, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about, because I just shared this example with the client that I was on the call with, about our buddy Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
We've all worked with Kirby throughout this process and the intensive program. Both we worked with him collectively and we worked with him individually. The thing that I'm really impressed with what Kirby is doing today, it's how Kirby is thinking about his business right now. Because where most people, you would think, here's a small business in a trade type environment, they're worrying about what the economy is going to do. Kirby's thinking about 5 years down the road.
Tell us about Kirby's business. What business is he in?
It's technically a chimney restoration business, but if you talk to Kirby and you talk to most people in that world, they do masonry work, they do other things in addition to just the chimney work. And, he's looking at it from the standpoint. So a year ago, he was having problems finding good people.
Mm-hmm.
And we did something, we talked about it and we worked through it. We talked about it from a counterintuitive perspective. What if he paid people 15%, 10 to 15% more than the marketplace would? What if you paid them 20%? I'm not going to tell you which number he actually, but we said, what if we pay more? Yeah. And the idea is good people are in a good job right now. And so if you want to get their attention, you have to find a way to get their attention. And showing them that they could make more with you gives you a chance to earn their loyalty through the culture. And sure enough, he got better applicants. He started paying them a little more. And then here's the cool part. From a leadership standpoint, he increased, and this is things we've all talked to them about, expectation, accountability, training, all those things that we've all worked with him on. He said that's actually paying them more is more than paying for itself. It's making him more money.
Yeah.
Because he's getting more work out of them.
Right.
You have. Randy, let me interrupt you. And because I know you're running over here, Scott. What I like about Kirby is that he's completely open. He will ask a question and then just say, coach me, tell me. You guys are out talking to all these people. And I believe coming to UBS and hearing the various points of view that we've talked about earlier, it is really what makes it of such value to a guy like Kirby or anybody else in business. They go, I think that'll work. I don't think that'll work. I think I could take a little bit of all of it and make it work. But you have to be open and willing. And Kirby's always been open and willing. That's what we're looking for.
By the way, everyone that's ever been a part of the intensive, Larry, I think you're exactly right. They have been open and willing to think about ideas.
And isn't that part of why you would do this in the first place, right? To learn and to gain ideas. And that's what it's all about. Well, hey, as we wrap up, and Randy, thanks for jumping on too, and Larry, thank you. As we wrap up, ultimatebusinesssummit.com is the website. All the registration info, all you gotta do is click and join. It's there. And we are, another thing I want to announce too, that we haven't talked about, is that the three of us are going to be doing some webinars in the coming month as it leads up to that, to talk a little bit more in depth about that. So I'll have registration information on my pages. I know you guys will as well. We'll have more information about that so that folks can sign up and attend the webinar. Just see if it works for you. And if you want to drill more deeply into the topics that we're going to be talking about, then we'd love to have you be a part of the Ultimate Business Summit. If you join for the VIP group, Larry, Randy, and I have a special cocktail reception, virtual reception that's going to happen on the evening of the 12th. We'll meet all day on the 13th, and we'll meet most of the day on the 14th till about 1, 2 o'clock, something like that. Yeah, 1 o'clock. And then we'll have a get together for the VIP members after it's over. But it's really, really an exciting event. Hey, I didn't ask for another case study, but here's one right
Jerry.
here. Yep.
Hey, Jerry.
So, and Cricket, so glad that you're going to be a part of it. That's always, we've really appreciated having you there in the past and appreciate that. Ronaldo, thank you. Hope you enjoy. Hey, Mel, thank you very much. That's awesome of you to say, and I really appreciate that. So, guys, any last comment before we go, Larry?
Time is always critical. You'll never, and you will right now. Prices go up in a week.
Randy?
What Larry said.
See, that's why we get along. There we go. It's all good. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Guys, thank you for being a part of this a special edition of Daily Distinction. My goodness, everybody's hung with us through this the numbers are phenomenal. So I guess I need these guys more often. More people watch. It's great being here. It's my favorite half hour of the day. Thank you for joining Daily Distinction. I'll see you tomorrow on the weekend edition tomorrow at noon. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.